Broadcasting from USA Swimming's headquarters at the Carolyn Dirks Building in Colorado Springs, Colorado, it's time for Kick Set. Join three-time Olympian Elizabeth Beisel and U.S. National Team Director of Performance Matt Barbini as they host members from the USA Swimming community, ranging from age group to Olympic levels of the sport.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kick Set podcast. My name is Matt Barbini. I am the National Team Director of Performance at USA Swimming. Joining me, as always, three-time Olympian and former Elizabeth Beisel, now with a different last name.
I'm actually not.
Wedding.
I'm not going to change my last name because nobody's going to hire Elizabeth Nichting. They're going to be like, "Who is that?" Like, why would we need her?
Right. Yeah. Well, regardless. Fresh off of a wedding, do fill us in. How was it?
Oh, it was awesome. The whole weekend was amazing. And I think for those that have ever had the opportunity to be at a wedding, whether it was theirs or not, it's just the blending of all of your worlds in one place. You feel such an overwhelming amount of joy and happiness, and you're already emotional because it's like a wedding. Right. But like the weather was perfect. It was just a little reunion, had so many national teamers there, like former Florida teammates, like high school friends. So it was awesome. Finally coming up for air, which means that it's a new quad. I think officially we can say that. So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Barbini, I want to hear like what's on tap in this new quad.
Man, that's a big question right now. We won't pretend that everything is settled quite yet. Yeah. You know, we're like just days in, but we have announced the national team, and by the time this comes out, we will have announced the new junior team, which is super exciting. That's kind of step one to rolling into the new season, and then it's just kind of starts from there. We're selecting a short course worlds team right now, and that's kind of the next big thing. But not a lot happening like in the pool, but a lot happening kind of in the office. So, but we're getting there.
Yeah, probably good. Like we all needed a break.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of a break, Barbini, I'll always let you do this because you're so good at it. But our guest today is one of those leaders of the current national team. And she had a nice little break, kept busy, and we'll talk to her about that. But Barbini, I'll let you embarrass her with all of her incredible accomplishments on her resume.
Yeah, and she's too much of a veteran to be called a breakout, but she had a huge summer. Our guest is Torri Huske. She's a now 6-time Olympic medalist, holy cow, including gold in the 100 fly. And she was on 2 world record breaking relays in Paris. She has 10 world championship medals. She is now on her 6th national team. Feels like you have not been around long enough to be on this many national teams, Torri. But welcome. Thank you for taking a few minutes to hang out with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let's talk about this was your second Olympics. So let's jump right to the first day of the games and the 100 fly. What is it like to be the first event on the first day at the Olympics?
Yeah, it's definitely really nerve-wracking. But honestly, I like having my event the first day because I can't imagine like the nerves of like sitting around and watching everyone else swim. Like, I think that would be so tough. So I was excited, but definitely really nervous going into it.
Yeah, I have lived both lives of having either like the 400 IM on day 1 or at Worlds 400 IM on day 9. It is so much better to get the ball rolling. And Torri,
100%.
like you did your job, like right out the gates, gold medal. There was a video that came out of your coach, Greg Meehan's reaction to your 100 fly. I'm sure you've seen it like a million times, but with working with somebody like Greg every single day and having him help guide you towards your dream of becoming an Olympic gold medalist individually, like what is it like to see him have that reaction to your swim?
Yeah, it was amazing. I actually have that video in like 2 different angles because like someone was filming it one area, someone else was filming it in another area. And I remember like walking back to the team area and like all the staff is there, but like Greg wasn't there yet. And someone was like, oh my God, like Greg was bawling in the stands. And I was like, oh, wow, really? But I think it was definitely a really special moment, especially like getting to like hug him afterwards and just thank him, because I've just appreciated everything that he's done for me. And I feel like it's kind of been a tough past year for the both of us, or like few years. So I was just very thankful.
I was lucky enough to be standing right next to him
Yeah.
when that one popped up next to your name. And this is all said with like, I love Greg and it's nothing but positive, but it was the fastest I've ever seen someone start crying. Like it was, I mean, it was instantaneous. Just like the overflow of emotion was so cool because you guys were going, you and Gretchen Walsh, who got silver, were going into that race in kind of a unique situation. We had 3 women at trials that put up times that would have won medals at the games. And then you and Gretchen go in as favorites to win or get second, but it's still a race and you both want to win the race. So what's it like when you have a teammate that you're hoping to have success, but then also you want to win and you want to get that gold medal for yourself?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like it's the same with any athlete. Like, you're obviously really competitive, but you also like wish the best for them. And going into the race, I was just like super excited to race Gretchen, because obviously like she's the greatest there ever was in the 100 fly. Like she still has the world record. She just the Olympic record in semis. So like going in, I was like, no one's really watching me. Like I can just go out there and have fun. And I was just like full of it in. And I was just like honestly really excited to get to race the best.
I love what you said about how like you were excited to race Gretchen because like you said, she is the best to ever do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get nervous though?
Yes, of course.
Okay, all right. So
everyone gets nervous.
Yeah. So how do you deal with the nerves at being in an Olympic final and being one of the favorites to win gold? What's kind of what gets you through it?
Honestly, I feel like I remember there was a point when I like conditioned myself to like only swim well if I was nervous. This was like back in like my club days. And I felt like if there wasn't like anything to like perform for, really, like it would just be like slower. So I think that nerves, even though they suck, like every single time I was in the ready room, like I felt like I wanted to throw up. So it's like they definitely suck. And I also felt like crying. It was a lot, definitely, in the ready room. But I think that they are really important to my swimming and like my success, because I think that if you put a positive spin on them, like I don't really think, I've been told this, I don't really know the science behind it, but I've been told that like your body can't really tell the difference between excitement versus nerves. And as long as you don't get those nerves, like as long as you don't let them get in your way, I feel like you can actually utilize them in a way that's really productive and like just like convert it into adrenaline for your race and just like use that. So I think that they're actually like really important and necessary, but it definitely sucks when you're like nauseous in the ready room. So
In addition to being, it's day one, you're also the first ones to swim a final, or one of the first ones to swim a final in front of that crowd. And it was one of the things that I think was a little bit unknown going in, was what the crowd would be like. Paris or Tokyo was obviously empty, no crowd at all. So the last time we had a games with a crowd in it was in 2016, which was quite a while ago. So what were your expectations of the crowd? Did you think about it at all before going in? And then what was it like when you walked out for that first final?
I didn't think about it that like I didn't actively like think about it that much beforehand, but I loved the crowd. I feel like now that I finally had like a full Olympic experience, because even though like Japan was amazing, it wasn't like the full experience, just because like there were no fans and like there isn't like your family there after your race, and like those small things that are actually really big things like really make a difference and are really important. But I love like the energy of the crowd. Another thing that I really like, this kind of ties into like nerves and everything, but I really like the energy they bring, and I feel like I kind of like absorb it. That's why I never listen to music while I'm in the ready room, because I like hearing all the noises and like being fully like immersed in that moment. So I thought it was just really exciting. But I will say, I think that having the 100 fly the first day, and since it was like prelims and then semis and then the final relay, I think that really helped me, just because it like having your first race be a final would be really tough. So I was kind of nice that I already had a little bit of like experience under my belt, and like had already gotten a little bit of my nerves out during prelims. And Greg always tells me to approach my races for like prelims, semis, and finals as like good, better, best. And that's kind of the mentality that I had moving forward going into those races. So I think that definitely helped take some of the weight off of my shoulders, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. You mentioned how this was like your first real Olympic experience, and it's the little things that made it so much maybe better for you. Can you
Mm-hmm.
talk about what those little things were? Was it your family being there? Was it having a crowd? Like what made it that Olympic experience for you?
Those were definitely really big things for me. So like having your friends and family afterwards, after your like to hug after your race, and then the crowd, obviously. But then like another small one, for example, is that last time in Tokyo, there were these like big plastic dividers in the lunchroom. So like you had to like kind of shout to like communicate, and like it was really hard to hear. So like conversation definitely did not flow as easy as it did here. So it's like really small things like that that just kind of like inhibited like general social things, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think too, it's like those plastic dividers were sort of cubicles, but it also just
Yeah.
reinforced the whole time that it's like there's something out there that could mess up your games. And it's like I remember
Yeah.
talking to people there that there's just like it became this like this thing that was just always there is like, is that the person that I'm gonna get COVID from? Like, do I need to be in this box to stay away from that? So to
It was
get out of that must have been a lot more fun.
yeah, it was definitely a lot more isolating the first time. And like granted, like we were lucky to even have a games at all given the
Mhm.
situation. And I think they did a great job and it was like necessary. But it was nice to finally get that full experience and like normalcy.
You have had, I feel like a whirlwind of a past month. Um, I, being the Swiftie that I am, need to know how that was, first of all, because it looked like you were backstage, and then I know what your theme was, but maybe the podcast listeners don't know. So can you just talk about the entire experience and what your theme was when you dressed up?
Yeah, so that was really amazing. I got to see the Eras tour, and I was originally going to see the Taylor in Austria, but obviously that got canceled. So then I was really fortunate to get to see her in London. We were in Taylor Swift's Red Lounge, and I like Googled it later, and it's where her like friends and family usually sit. So I got to meet the Lautners, and I got to meet her parents and her brother, and then like a few other people. So that was really cool. I didn't get to meet her, which makes sense because she's probably on like vocal rest before, and then afterwards, after like 3 hours of performing, she's like super tired. But that was just an amazing experience. That was also my first time seeing the concert, so like I was like really locked in. I dressed up as like Reputation as my theme, and I had like a bunch of snake temporary tattoos that we got just off of Amazon. I had a lot of people asking me like, oh my god, like is that real? And I was like, no, I'm just a big fan of Taylor Swift. So
You're
yeah.
like, I don't have a full sleeve of snake tattoos.
Yeah, someone in the airport stopped me and they were like, "Oh my god, like who is your artist? The detail's insane." I was like, "It's fake."
You're like
But
Amazon.
yeah. So, it was just really cool to like see her in person because I watched the movie, but like seeing her in person is just like so different. So,
That's super cool. There's like jealousy pouring out of Basel over there, but also
I
everybody
know, I'm
that's
like,
listening to this.
so cool.
So you've gotten to do some other stuff too, though. You were on the field at a Nationals game. There was a parade for you in your
mhm.
hometown. What have these weeks been like, sort of in general, post games? Like, have you had time to kind of decompress from it? Has it just felt like you're like in this whirlwind still? Like, how have you dealt with this month post games?
It's definitely still been a whirlwind. I think things are finally settling down. Like I just moved into my dorm room, as you can see, and like now I feel like it's kind of like the calm before the storm because school starts on the 23rd. Um, and then home was really hectic just because, like you said, there was like the parade thing, and there just like wasn't a lot of time. Like I was only home for like a week, and I had to like do a bunch of things, but It's been really fun.
Yeah, it's all good things, but it is like you kind of have to protect your energy sometimes and just be like,
Mhm.
I can only do so many of these things. Like they're wonderful, but I it's probably really nice that Stanford starts a little bit later.
I love Okay, the quarter system is sometimes really tough just because they move at
Right.
such a fast pace because it's literally 10 weeks for a class. But I love that we start so late because it gives me extra time at home and like in the because each summer I'm like traveling for swim and then like I go home and even though like my friends aren't there, it gives me a little bit more time to spend with my family because they're not there. So then I'm like really locked in on them. So that's good.
So going back to Paris for a second, we talked about your individual event, but two of probably the most exciting things that happened for Team USA there were the two relays that you were on that broke the world
Mhm.
record. And those were they were kind of very different races. So you had the mixed medley, which was obviously extremely close, and
Yeah.
then the single gender medley, which was not. You guys pretty handily dominated that one. Can you just talk a little bit about those experiences and what it was like to be on relays of that caliber with your teammates?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like relays are so fun. This was my first time, I think, anchoring on a USA relay probably. Maybe I did it randomly at like short course worlds or something like that, but like at a big meet, I don't think I've ever anchored, let alone like swam freestyle. So that was definitely really nerve-wracking. But going into the mixed, I think they had a little bit of a lead for me. I was just like, I can't lose it for them. Like, I'm not going to lose. So I was very determined and I feel like focused. So I was just like extremely dialed in. Like, I felt like nothing was like going to come between me and that. And they just set me up really well for that. And then the women's four medley, honestly, I feel like I didn't even have to do anything. Like, I remember like diving in and beforehand, I thought to myself, like, I would have to mess up so bad to lose this for them. Like, Reagan obviously took it out like so fast, and Lily held on, and Gretchen had one of the fastest splits, if not the fastest split ever in the 100 fly in that relay. So I was like they could have probably put almost anyone on and they would have been fine just because they took care of it for me. So
Those relays are the best to watch because like you have so much in it. And like you are nominated through those swims at Golden Goggles for 4 different categories. It's female race of the year, female athlete of the year, and then your 2 relays. What is your favorite part about Golden Goggles and being there and reuniting with your team and like finally being able to celebrate what you did that summer?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really nice. It's nice also this year I don't have to miss school for it, which I was a little bit stressed about. In the past, I've had Golden Goggles where I'm taking my like finals there and then I like fail them and it's not good. It's not very fun. I remember my first Golden Goggles, I had to take a math final and okay, to be fair, I was definitely below the average, but the average was low. Like I think the average might have been like 60s or 50s on it and I got like a 40 or something on it. It was bad. And like I cried afterwards because I was like I knew I just failed that. But it's gonna be nice to not have that again this year. I passed the class by the way, just so you know. But anyways,
We were wondering, and hopefully they scaled it.
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely curved. Um but it's going to be really nice to just see everyone again, and I feel like each year these trips get more and more fun as I get to know people better. I think that my first Olympics was really tough, not only because it was like my first Olympics, but it was also my first national team meet ever. So I didn't really like know anyone going into it. So each year it gets a little bit more fun and I get more excited to see everyone.
That's man, having to take a final on top of Golden Goggles is just a brutal schedule.
Yeah,
Like
I hope I just
that's-
didn't make myself sound really dumb, but that class was
no,
very hard.
no.
No.
Well, and it's not just Golden Goggles is not just like you show up and go to the thing. Like there's stuff that happens around it. It's a busy weekend. So to
Yeah,
try
there's
to
like
cram a test on
rehearsal.
top of that is tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like people don't know that.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
And
It's
you're
more
also
than
at
just a
Stanford,
gala.
Torri. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
we know you're good.
Yeah. You got in there. You're not, nobody's going to think you're dumb.
Yeah.
So speaking of Stanford, what are you looking forward to this coming college season?
I think the number one thing that I'm excited to do is just be back with the team and like fully immersed into the team this year, because last year, even though I like had an like my gap year was so much fun because it was just like I lived like a slower pace. Like I didn't do a whole lot. I basically just trained and like recovered and then hung out with my friends or like read, did art. Like it was like the best. But I just really missed like being fully with the team because sometimes they would be tapering and I would still be in hard training, or I would be away and they would be training hard. So it's nice to be on the same schedule with them. And then the other thing that I'm really excited about is living in suites this year. So I'm going to be swimming or living with Aurora, Sam, and Anna, and then a rando. So we've already moved in, and there's like a common space and then a common like bathroom for us that we all share. So I'm like very excited to live here because we've been talking about this for like since like freshman year, pretty much.
That's awesome. I'm
Nice.
so
Welcome
glad.
to the rando.
I know. Hopefully they are cool.
Yeah.
Wait, Barbini, before we go to social kick, Torri, something that you said piqued my interest. You said that you did a lot of art last year. What type of art were you doing?
Really anything. I don't like have one thing that I like to do because I think I get really bored really easily. But I have so much art in the suite. We're gonna have like a little arts crafts night tonight. So I have like a lot of pencils, watercolor, acrylic. I have some oil, but I don't really use that because it's kind of a hassle, especially since you need like turpentine and then you gotta like dispose of it properly. It's kind of a lot. So I didn't really use that last year. But I made this, I can show you in the beginning of the year once I figure out how to turn this. That was like the first thing I made this year. It was like this little like wash painting. But
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
So like painting and drawing is probably like what you honed in on most.
Yeah. So I have a lot of like little pieces of art that I've done throughout my time. I like did that one in high school. But
oh my gosh. You need an Etsy shop. Not that you have time to do that, but
yeah.
That's amazing.
Nice. All right, Basil, should we do some social kick?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So Torri, these are questions that people submitted via social, specifically for you. They're kind of rapid fiery, but go as deep as you want on them. If anything piques your interest. So the first one is from Abby and Ben E. What is your favorite memory of swimming when you were young? You can define young however you want.
I honestly don't really remember, I feel like, or I'm thinking like really young, but I do remember this is like before I would even swim like on a club team. My mom used to take me to like the rec pool and then she would like throw rings, and this is probably like 3 feet water. I would like dive down to get them and like bring them back to her. So
I do that with my 4-year-old now, and it's like she thinks she's like diving to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, that's probably my like
in water up to her waist.
It's probably one of my like earliest memories of swimming.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. This is from Mark A. What is your pre-workout food or drink of choice?
Probably like a chocolate milk and like a Cliff Bar, maybe, or like an applesauce, fruit snack, yogurt, or cheese stick. These are just things I'm naming things that they mostly just have in the fueling station, and I usually remember those things.
What is your Cliff Bar flavor of choice?
Yeah, this is an important question.
What is it? It's the one that's light blue, but I don't remember what that. It might be like blueberry muffin or something.
Yeah, it is blueberry muffin.
That one. Barbini's like, yep, I'm familiar.
Yeah, I like that one. So if the food and like Cliff Bars always make me think of Rio because the food was so bad in Rio that I had a white chocolate macadamia nut Cliff Bar like every day of that trip, and I'll never have another white chocolate macadamia nut Cliff Bar.
That's my favorite flavor.
I know, I can't do it. I overcooked it.
That's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
I did it.
If I ate
too
it every
much.
day, 3 times a day for like 3 weeks, I would hate it too.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I can't do it. I don't hate it. I
Yep.
just, we're done. We need
Yep.
a long
On a
break from
blueberry
each other.
muffin.
On the blueberry muffin. Nice. Okay, this one's from Gabe C. Would you ever swim the 200 fly?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna maybe do it at triple distance, which is this beat where you swim the 50, 100, and 200 of a stroke. This is just for like Stanford and Cal. I might swim it there, but I don't think I'm ever gonna swim it internationally. Also, I swim it, just never at a big meet.
Yeah. Okay, last one. This is from Sophia E. And this is in reference to a Paris story. How was the chocolate muffin? Or did you have the chocolate muffin?
Yeah, I did have the chocolate muffin. I tried it with Abby Weitzel, and she made a TikTok about it. I actually thought it was really good. It wasn't a 10 out of 10 just because it wasn't warm. But if it was like warmed, it would be a 10 out of 10. Very chocolatey though, very rich. So it was kind of a lot to eat. But if you're really into chocolate, it's definitely for you.
All right, chocolate muffin worth the hype.
Lived up to the hype.
Awesome. Well, Torri, thank you very much for taking the time. We'll see you at Golden Goggles, and good luck with the coming season and the start of school, and really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Torri.
Thanks again to Torri for coming on. Basil, the art thing at the end reminded me. So they come here for training camp every year around Christmas, and we have whiteboards on deck at the training center. And I look over one day and Torri's standing at the whiteboard, and it's just like, I'm not paying attention to what she's doing. I don't know if she's like doodling or something. And what she ended up drawing on there was this like incredibly elaborate, I feel like it was like a dragon or something. And it's like you just drew that in like 3 minutes between sets. Like she is like such a ridiculously talented natural artist. It was crazy. It blew my mind. And I always think of that when she talks about her art.
I had no idea. And so like when she said that, I was like, oh, I need to ask. Like, I love it when athletes have another side to them. And there's something about art that I just like don't understand, like creating art with your hand, because I do not like, like it just does not make sense to me. Like when somebody like Torri can go up to a whiteboard and draw this incredibly intricate dragon, I'm like, I'm still stuck in the first grade with stick figures and shapes.
I'm happy if I can keep it in the lines of somebody else's drawing.
I'm happy if I can like trace, you know, when you like put a photo up to your window and then you like trace over it. I'm like, I'm lucky to follow the lines.
Look, I made a fish. It's like, well, congratulations. You did a really good job.
She's just like incredible and such a cool person and so smart, so talented, just all around. If anybody needs a role model, look no further. You got Torri Huske.
Yeah. And what a badass summer she had. I mean, we talked about the 100 fly and the gold medal, which was awesome. And to go 1-2 with Gretchen was incredible. But one of the upsets of the Olympics was her getting second in the 100 free. I mean, we were not favored to medal in that at all. And she almost won it. I mean, she was right there to win it with Sarah. That might have been the race of the meet. Yeah.
That was one. I almost mentioned it earlier, but it was just like, I mean, Torri was in lane 8 or 1. She was definitely at the
outside,
top outside lane. But I feel like even she, when she looked at the scoreboard, was like, me? Like, almost winning?
Well, we all
I love those reactions.
Well, because we all thought it was going to be this Australian coronation, and that ended up not really happening in that event. And I think that was exactly her face was like, huh? It was awesome.
In the best way. Like I love that when it's kind of like a secondary event.
Yeah.
That you are, almost the best in the world. Or like the best in the world.
Yeah. Well, she's probably going to be involved in the presentation or receiving an award at Golden Goggles, which is really the next major thing we have coming up. So that is November 23rd in Indy. Tickets are still available. And in addition to being able to attend, you can also vote for the winners. So all of that can be found at usaswimming.org/foundation. There's a whole bunch of categories that you can vote on for the awards. And that's how it's decided is by fan vote. So definitely go on there and vote for your favorite races, athlete of the year, best relays. Really like her chances of winning best relay for one of those 2 world records. It's got to be one of them. But go check out Golden Goggles there. And Basil, It's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on, the week after your wedding.
Oh, Barbini, any excuse to hang out with you? Are you kidding me? I talk
Hey,
everything.
there we
Like,
go.
I'll be there.
We're there. Sold. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening, and rate, review, and subscribe. And we'll see you next month.